This is a huge window for the Socceroos, Brosque. So first, Indonesia at home on March 20th, then 5 days later away to China. We know the way that the group looks. It's one of the strangest World Cup qualifying groups I've ever seen, to have Japan out in front, Socceroos on 7 points, everyone else on 6. What does that say to you? It says...
Exactly that. It's been a crazy qualifying group. I mean, I expected Saudi to have done a lot more than what they have, and I think the Australian public expected the Socceroos to be up there as well. So look, we're very fortunate that Saudi has dropped as many points as they have, and we are where we are. I think we haven't been great by any means in qualifying so far. And this is the window. We need 6 points. It's that simple. We get 6 points and we go a long way to qualifying automatically. You don't want to leave it to the next window where you've got Japan and Saudi. I think it gets very, very tricky from there. We take 6 points here, it's a completely different prospect. We go into the next, the next window with a lot more confidence, but it's looking at the injuries and how many players we've got out. Who does Popper bring in? I mean, that's intriguing in itself. And he's shown that already he's not scared to bring in some new players, new faces, test the current squad. He's had Matty Ryan out, brought Joe Gauci in. So he's up for changing. I guess how many changes he brings into this one is I'm very keen to see. But I'm excited because I think, the group is building. The players seem together now. There's a bit of a transition with Popper coming in, but this is it. We need points now, and this is the time to do it.
That's it. I think there's a good chance for a decent A-League contingent here, just because the competition is well and truly up and running, and some of the comps that the Socceroos boys play in, some of them play calendar year seasons, so Japan, MLS, even some of the Scandinavian leagues, I think, either have big breaks or they start their season, so they don't have as much football in them as the A-League guys do. Whether that has a sort of real big influence on how Popper picks his squad, I don't know. It's hard to actually imagine what Popper's thinking, because he's thrown some monster curveballs in his first 4 months. I mean, the one that still sticks with me, well, look, put Jason Guerrier aside. Yeah. He looked like he should have been picked a long time ago, and he came in and that was great, but no one thought he would have been in the mix. The other one was, there's two. There's Luke Bratton, and then your mate Anthony Caceres, who came in and looked really good. Were you surprised that Cass got a call up?
I was surprised, given that it felt as though he'd missed the bus from the fact that his age was probably playing against him. I feel as though he's in the best form of his career, and he's a player who, for the early parts of his career, was very underappreciated. And you've got to think back and think, if he'd been given this opportunity when he was 18, 19, where he'd actually have gone to in his career. So I think he's playing great football. He is, for me, technically the most gifted player in a midfield position that we have in the country. So for me, not only is he in the squad again, he's starting again.
Yeah. So you mentioned injuries. Gauci's got a hip injury, so he won't be in this squad. Centre-back's a real problem. Harry Suter, Hayden Matthews out for the season. We already know Alessandro Siccardi's sidelined as well. So there's 3 of our best centre-backs out. And he plays a back 3 system, which makes it bite a little bit harder. Jordan Boss out, takes away our best left-sided sort of full-back or wing-back. Riley McGree out. Thomas Deng, question mark. It's not ideal, but I guess that does open up opportunities. And I suppose the biggest, probably at either end of the ground, I would say. Maybe we'll start talking about striker. There's a few candidates in Australia that we've been talking about a lot on this show. 3 in particular, the young ones, Noah Bodic, Archie Goodwin, Luka Jovanovic. It's tough, though, because we've always turned to Mitch Duke, but he's not playing much this season for his club in Japan. Kusini Yengi looks like the guy potentially for the Socceroos, but has only just come back from an injury that he suffered the last time he played for the Socceroos. And Bodic, leading the Golden Boot race, seems to be sort of the one of those 3 with his nose in front. Do you think that? Do you see Popper calling him up?
I agree, and I do. I think in the form that he's in, he's been scoring, I think he's got 7 in his last 8 games, and it's his presence in the box in all different situations. He's got a fantastic strike. We've seen him score from long range. In these areas, he makes good runs. He gets in between defenders when there's good quality service, and when you've got the likes of a Craig Goodwin potentially on the left who can deliver the type of balls that a player like him thrives off. He gets in those positions, So if he can make the runs, he'll get the service. And I think that's what we're missing at the moment. I think where Duke and Yengi, they give you a lot of hard work, a lot of running, a lot of physicality. Bodic is a natural goal scorer, and that's what we haven't had in a long time. You know, we're seeking someone who can get us goals. It's been the topic of most of the conversations heading into every single camp for a couple of years now. Who's going to get us the goals? Who's our goal scorer? Who can we turn to when we need a big moment? And yes, he's young, but he's shown that he's ready for that step up. Whether Popper goes to him already at this stage, given the importance of these games, I mean, I don't mind the idea of putting Lecky as a 9, you know, given what he can add and the quality he can give and have some good quality players and wingers around him. You know, Iran Kunda, for me, has got to be back in that lineup. He's in form. He's playing well. He's the confidence he can bring into camp. We can use at the moment. So either of those two, I think, should be starting.
Worth noting, just with the striker discussion, Mo Toure scored 2 goals for his club in Denmark in his last start, but has been named in an under-23 squad that's going away for a friendly tournament during this window. So you'd presume from that he won't be in this squad, which is interesting. Centre-back, though, Brosque, he's got to bring 2 into this squad given the injuries that are going out. So who are you bringing in?
Look, and we were chatting about it earlier. I don't mind the idea of, I mean, someone like Triantis. I know he's been playing as more of a 6 at Hibs, but he's playing consistently, playing well, yes, in that position, but it's not too dissimilar to having to drop into a back 3 and potentially playing that central role. So I like the idea of bringing him in with not only what he did here at the Mariners in the A-League, he's gone and he's taken that next step now. And he, you know, there's a maturity about him, a confidence about him that we need. Burgess is someone who's, you know, just coming back in. Really, he hasn't played a lot of minutes, you know, so I think he can do a job against Indonesia, against China. The next games, if he's not playing and not getting enough minutes, I don't think you pick him to start against Japan. I think it'll be too much to ask. But in these 2 games, the experience that he has, the fact that he's training in a high-quality environment, you can put him in. And then from there, who else? Good question.
Well, in the A-League, there's 2 standout candidates for me, and it depends on which way Popper wants to go. If he wants to go with someone who's a little bit more experienced and is having a pretty solid season, it's Kai Truen from Melbourne City. Or if he wants to go with someone who's, you know, much younger and he's done this, as he did with Hayden Matthews, really promising players, just come off a young Socceroos Asian Cup win, is Pana Kikianis.
And Kikianis is one, you're right. I mean, with Matthews, he'd only played a handful of games before he threw him in. So I think Popper's shown he's not frightened to do that. I think he would very well have had a conversation with not only him, but Trevor Morgan to see how he, you know, what he was like in camp, how, you know, I guess the leadership qualities potentially that he showed. Is he able to step up in the Socceroos? And that conversation would have been interesting because I think he has shown over Adelaide, that little moment there, you know, that, you know, he notices he's up front, he's trying to create a chance, a quick foul. It's smart. It's a player that understands the game and knows certain situations. So I think the maturity, yes, he's a young player, but he's shown in big moments, in big games, he's done the right things and can easily step into that role with some quality, you know, experienced players around him.
The other 2 candidates probably in the mix in similar sort of categories to those 2 is the experienced one is Brendan Hamill. I think he's a bit of a Popper favourite from club level as well. And the other younger one is Dylan Leonard, who has come out of nowhere this season. Do you like any of those 2?
Look, Hamill, from an experience point of view, he's definitely, you know, been around, played at many clubs, and he's got a lot of experience and a lot of quality in that defensive position. I think Leonard, good young kid, but potentially too young at the moment and too fresh to be thrown into a high-pressure, you know, match like this one. You know, Indonesia and China, these are 2 big games. Like I said, there's no excuses and no room for error. You know, we need, so throwing a 17-year-old kid is not always a terrible thing, but in this moment, I feel like Leonard, it's probably too big an occasion for him. I know JA has spoken, you know, so highly about his quality, and we've seen it week to week, but probably too big a moment for him. And Hamill's one who can come in and definitely do a job if Popper turns to him. But interesting to see because we are very, very thin at the back.
You've done it a few times yourself, Brosque, going from the A-League straight into an international camp. How big is the jump? What does a player have to do to prepare for what I would imagine is a fairly sizable increase in quality, speed, etc.?
Well, those are the things. I mean, just you know, from week to week in the A-League, particularly just coming off of summer as well, the game is a lot slower, and the heat plays its part. But just A-League games in general, they're a lot slower than what international football is. For myself personally, coming into camp, I was coming into camps with guys like, Vince Grella, Bresciano, Tim Cahill, some of the best players that we've ever had. So it was the level you had to meet at training and to rise to was incredible. But, you've been picked for a reason. So I think a lot of these players, they love and they talk about it all the time, coming into these camps, what it does for them, what the boost for the confidence. They love being, particularly for the players overseas, coming back and joining the Socceroos camp again. It's an incredible feeling. So I think they'll be ready for it. Yes, it is a step up for the A-League players in terms of quality of opposition, speed. You don't get the time on the ball that you do in the A-League. But all these guys are ready for it. I think Popper's been doing his homework. He's been watching to see who's ready, who's in form, who can step up to these occasions. And I'm sure whoever he picks will do a job.
A window where we're playing at home first up as well gives them a bit of a head start, I reckon, because a lot of the European guys won't get in until Tuesday or even Wednesday, which is crazy. So got an opportunity to put their best foot forward in training for Popper, which hopefully some of them do.